Hello. The game is afoot. I couldn't even do it. Hey everyone, it's Emily, and welcome back to our channel. Today is going to be a different kind of video. Today, I'm going to be trying to solve You'll Be the Death of Me. Yeah. So, I wanted to do one of these videos ever since I saw this one person do, I think it was Emmy, do a video on solving an Agatha Christie novel. And then I got into a rabbit hole of watching all the videos of people solving them. And I was like, I want to do that. But I didn't know what book to do it on. And then I came home and my mother had this book. And it's new. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to solve it. So that's what we're going to be doing. This is where I'm going to put my murder board. I already have You'll Be the Death of Me up. And I've got name things for... I've started. I'm not very far. I'm about 34 pages in. I wanted to start this before I got to the murder so that I could say my thoughts so far and then read the murder and be like, whatever happened. So we're gonna start by putting names up on the murder board. So I was putting lines for relationships with people and it was taking a long time. This light is just, I put lights down here to be colorful and they're just not working either. It's a mess. We're moving on. I'm just going to go through and explain what I know so far, and then I'm going to sort this board out later. So, starting with our three main characters from reading the inside cover, and also because I've read the first couple pages. Ivy, Mateo, and Cal. We're going to start with Ivy because I've written the sticky notes for her. So, in the first chapter, we learn that she and her brother are both awake before, her brother's Daniel. They're both awake before 5 in the morning, so I feel like that says something about their entire family already. Because the reason they were awake is because their mother is very type A and like won't leave them alone and calls them all the time to make sure they're okay. She's also like planned for every outcome, like if things are going to go wrong, she has a plan for everything that could go wrong. Yeah. We also learned she faints at the sight of needles, wears a ponytail, nervous about presenting, and never misses a class. They live in a safe neighborhood, and she doesn't like her brother because her brother is a year younger, but he skipped a year, so he's in the same grade as her, and he's like naturally good at everything, so she hates that because she feels like she's not good enough. She's presenting her mother with an award that her mother's an MIT professor and won some award that they're having the party for soon. One time she was doing a presentation in front of the entire school and her brother replaced her speech paper with pages from an erotica that her Aunt Helena reads. So she read that to the entire class and she thinks that's why the class hates her now. And because of that, she lost her, the election. There was like a student election and she lost to Boney. Yes. She lost to him. She's very upset about that because she like had a whole plan and worked with different places to like supply good stuff for the school, but he kind of just said he would do nothing and he still won. So the relationship between the three main characters is that in grade 6 on a field trip one time, they all snuck out and left and that started a friendship and then that friendship ended in grade 8. Their mother already said what her career is, but their father flips houses. Next up we have this human here. Oops, I'm already knocking stuff down. This is going great. So he has like 3 jobs. I don't know what 2 are. 2 are that he works at a grocery store and Garrett's bar where he's at bus tables. He used to work like, so this is Linus's mother. She is divorced. She used to own a bowling alley called Spare Me, but they got closed down when someone got hurt there, and they had a whole lawsuit, and they lost all their money. So, yeah. And she used to be really active, but then she got sick recently with this disease that I also can't pronounce. When Spare Me closed down, James Shepard, so Ivy's father, bought the building to do like a house flip with it, and he's kind of, Mateo's like kind of mad that like Ivy didn't tell him about this, even though they like kind of weren't 100% friends at the time, he still wanted her to like warn him about it, and she didn't, so he's kind of like a little bit upset about that. I have a note about this person, but I can't read what my notes say, so yeah, good job on me. Autumn's his cousin, and she has red hair, and she was very aggressive when she was younger, punching a lot. And she drives, for her job, she drives a murder van. Funny. And yeah, she also has 3 jobs, and she might be selling drugs on the side, not 100% sure. She was being really sus about this whole situation, so she's probably selling drugs too, because they're really low on money. So last up, we have Cal. So he has 2 dads, Wes and Harry. Wes is a college prof. He's also the person that Cal goes to talk to about all his like personal problems. His parents are like concerned that he's going to like be married before he has like at like really young and not have a degree. They want him to focus more on his schoolwork. They say that he's been a serial dater since 9th grade. So that's fun. Laura and Naomi are his ex-girlfriend. Well, okay, Laura's his like girlfriend right now. They're like haven't really labeled it yet, but she's not good at showing up for stuff because he invited her to Crave Donut, which is like his favorite place to eat breakfast, and she didn't show up. Oh, and he's good at imitating. And the reason I know that is, okay, where the story has gotten so far is we've got all this information about them, and they're all headed to school. And they get to school, and Ivy doesn't want to go to school today because yesterday she lost the election, the president, like not the student election thing to Boney Brian, and she doesn't want to go there because he has his whole speech, and she's embarrassed that she lost. So when she's in the parking lot, she bumps into Cal, and they meet up and they like kind of have an awkward conversation, but they're like casual. But then when Mateo shows up, it gets real awkward because there's some awkwardness between these two. Honestly, he's just awkward in general. He's like the dark brooding character. Broods around being like life problems. Cal randomly, I think it was Cal that suggested it. I don't actually remember now. I read this a while ago, and then it took me a while to film this part. So my memory is kind of slowly decreasing. That's why I don't remember what I wrote for 2 of these people in my notes, because I can't read my own writing sometimes. Yay. But what was I saying? Yeah, I think it was Cal. He suggested that they call into the school and pretend to be sick so that they could just leave for a couple hours and not go to the speech or whatever. So they decide to do that. They do it, and then they get in the car and they start driving. And that's as far as I've gotten so far. So I don't really know who's gonna be murdered yet. Maybe I don't even know them yet. At first I thought it was going to be her brother. I don't know why. He just seems like the person to be murdered. But then I was like, I don't know, I feel like it's too sus if he's murdered, and also I feel like it'd be a lot harder on Ivy and she'd be sad. So then I don't think it's him. But so far I don't know who they would all have affiliation with. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. Hello. There has been a murder. I now have a mini pool thing to point at stuff because that's fun. I should grab my sword, but that's upstairs and I'm lazy, so here we are. So, there has been a murder. It's not 100% confirmed yet, like the police haven't said it. Well, they said that there's someone dead, but they haven't said who it is yet. Based on what our 3 main characters have seen, Boney, which we now know his nickname is a combination of his first and last name, is dead. So, how this happened. Where did I leave off? I think I said that they were driving somewhere. Oh yeah, they were skipping school. So we got 3 main characters. They be skipping school. They're walking around the streets in Boston. They drove to Boston. And When they get there, they decide to just walk around for a bit to look for something to do. And they happen to see Boney walking around on the streets, which is bad because he's supposed to be giving his speech at school. And Ivy's kind of mad and wants to talk to him, so she decides to chase after him. And he goes into this house that's got a green door. And Cal is not happy when Ivy tries to follow because he knows this place. Because his girlfriend, Laura, who we find out is a college student, has a friend that owns that place, and she uses it as an art studio. I think her friends own it. I can't remember now. I have a very bad memory. But her friend hasn't paid, so they're actually not supposed to be there, but she's still kind of using it as an art studio. So he doesn't want to go there because on Tuesday, every Tuesday is her one day off of school, and she always goes to her art studio at 10 o'clock. And that's the time that they're going there, and when Brian went in. So he doesn't want to go anywhere near it, and he especially, for some reason, gets very nervous about his girlfriend seeing Mateo and Ivy. Like, really nervous about them specifically, so that's kind of sus. But he caves and gives Ivy the passcode to the door. So Ivy runs into the house, and Cal and Mateo both go stand in the an alleyway beside the place, and they kind of chat for a bit, and then they decide to follow her. And I think it's here that they hear sirens. I swear, I can't remember, I should have written it down, but at first I was like, that's probably not important, no one's dead yet, but I should have known. So, I think it's before they go in. I know it's before they meet up with Ivy that they hear sirens the first time. So, I'm assuming at this point someone's already called a tip about someone being dead. So they finally, they get into the house and they don't know where Ivy is, but it turns out she's on the 4th floor. There's 2 staircases off the left one, and there's only one door open in the hallway, and she's standing in the doorway of that one. And when they get there, they look into the room, and it's the art studio, which is his girlfriend's place that she goes for her art studio. It's her art studio. And all they see is like the feet laying on the ground and not moving, and they're purple sneakers. And no one can remember what Brian's sneakers looked like at the time, in the moment. They just remember what shirt he was wearing, but they can't remember his shoes. So they don't really know who it is, but Ivy starts to go closer, and she faints because she sees a syringe or needle or whatever on the ground. Because earlier, in the first thing, it said that she had a fear of needles. Very much does. She faints. They start panicking because they hear sirens again, so they decide to run because they haven't done anything and he's already dead, so like, they never go and look at him, but they're assuming he's dead, and they don't want to be caught by the police and just be questioned because they haven't done anything. So Mateo grabs Ivy and picks her up and tells Cal to grab the phone because her phone fell out. Turns out it's not her phone, so they took a phone from the crime scene. They don't know whose phone it is yet, but it's got a black case on it. And then they escape through the back staircase. They do that, and then they go to the, what's it called? Garrett's, the bar that Mateo works at, because it's close by, and they hide in there for a bit so that Ivy can wake up. When Ivy wakes up, she says she remembers the shoe color, and she remembers that Brian's shoes are purple, so it's his shoes. So they're assuming he's dead. And like, not even, I don't know how long it would take them to get to the bar. I know they said it wasn't that far from the place, but when they get there, they turn on the TV and it's already being reported to the news. Specifically by Dale Hawkins, because he has his own place, and he says in the news report that him and the police both got a tip called in. And in the tip, it said they are looking for a young blonde female who's attractive, mid-20s, or not, sorry, mid-20s, early 20s, and the person that called in the tip said that they saw her inject the guy with a syringe, and he was immediately unresponsive, and yeah. And there's no security cameras in the place, and that's pretty much what we get from the news report. And that's about what's happened right now. Well, that's not true. The second they get there, so the 2 things are sus right now. The 2 sus people are Ivy, because she's blonde and she was in there for a while before Mateo and Cal caught up, so she could have done something, but she did faint at the needle, but maybe she was faking. She kind of sus. But the susser person Miss Laura, Cal's girlfriend. Well, girlfriend, of course. They haven't put a label on it yet or whatever. But she's sus. We know she's blonde because they kept asking her if she's blonde and he kept dodging the question. She's supposed to be there at Tuesdays at 10 and she wasn't. Oh, the reason she says she wasn't there, because Cal immediately starts texting her after they leave because he's nervous that she has something to do with it. She decided to take a ceramics class, and then she sends him a photo of a green bowl thing or something by a the burning thingy. Yes, I know words. So she's kind of sus, and he's nervous and acting all strange. So he tells them he's gonna go meet up with her and that they should just wait there and he'll be back within an hour, but of course they're gonna follow him. So that's about where we are right now. I am back for one very specific reason, and I now have a sword. Because it did one of my least favorite things to happen and stuff like this. Okay, so I haven't really read that much more, but we have a lot of updates. Well, not that much. We have one specific update that is bothering me. And it has been officially confirmed, the police did release Brian's name saying that he is dead. Now, Wes also, I said he was a college prof, he's actually the dean of the college. And he had to recently fire a prof for sleeping with a student. See, this is one thing I'm noticing recently in a lot of teen shows. Like I started watching a lot of shows randomly, and they always have one student sleeping with a teacher, and I hate it so much. It is horrible. I hate it. It's so stupid. I hate it so much. I don't know what else to say except for I hate it. So, guess what we have? Miss Laura here. What's her last name? I didn't write it, I just forgot. She's their English teacher. Yippee! So Cal is in a relationship with the English teacher. And if that's not bad, she's engaged to the lacrosse coach. I don't know what you wanted me to do. So yeah, I just needed to update that because I hate it so much. I just think it's so stupid. I don't like it. It's unnecessary. Why does why does one student always have to be sleeping with a teacher and teen stuff? Like, Hey, I just wanted to do a quick little insert here about this whole thing and not rant too much more about it as I already did, but I wanted to say that I feel like this book actually did a decent job with it. It didn't romanticize it, is what I mean. I feel like a lot of media now with it always romanticizes it, whereas this, they didn't actually have any, a sexual relationship. She was just more grooming him and, leading him on about stuff. They didn't, I don't know. They didn't romanticize it, which made it be slightly better with it. I still hate it, but it wasn't as bad as what it has become in some shows, which was nice. That's about it. Back to the video. I have a theory of what is happening, but then a lot of information was revealed, so now I'm not sure if my theory works anymore. But we're still gonna go over that, but first we're gonna go over information. The first thing is that after following them, Ivy and Mateo steal Laura's daily planner, and they go through it, and in it they find a piece of paper that's a class list of everyone in their grade, and 3 names are circled in red. Dead Dude, Brian, Charlie, and Mateo. Now, I couldn't remember who Charlie is in my first notes because he was mentioned at the very beginning. My only note about him is a nobody. And then I figured out who he is because they explained it in the book, and I was like, oh, that's why I wrote is a nobody. It's because he is the person that Autumn was texting earlier in, before Mateo left for school. He saw a text on Autumn's phone and it was from Charlie. So that's what it was. So what turns out happening is Charlie went to a party that both Brian and Autumn were at, and they found drugs, a whole lot of Oxycontin, at least 2,000 pills that they can sell for about $80 a pill in a garage, and they stole them and they started selling them. So they've been selling drugs, and I was right about that. Autumn selling drugs. But the reason we find that out is they end up going to Charlie's house because when they're looking through Laura's planner, they get a call on, we find out it is Brian's phone that they stole from the crime scene, and Charlie's calling him, and when they pick up, Cal pretends to be him for a second, and Charlie says, did he show up? They decide to go to Charlie's house because they know where he lives, so they go to his house, and they go in there, and it is a mess. It's been like ripped apart, it's broken everywhere, drawers are pulled out, it's crazy, and they find Charlie drunk in the basement, and they take him to Ivy's house so that they can like regroup, and that's when Charlie tells them that they've been selling drugs, and he also tells them that the person that Brian was going to meet there was a huge buyer that had called them recently and wanted to buy like so much more than they normally sell, and that Autumn said not to go because it seemed dangerous, but Brian was like, it was a lot of money, so he wanted to go, so he went. And the buyer's the one that set the place and gave Brian the code to the door to get in there. Laura, also, another thing they find is a card that has her favorite painting on it, and on the back it says, "Love you, let's make it happen, signed D." And at first we didn't know who a D was, but the only other person, oops, no, my sticky notes are falling down. But the only other person whose D is Dominic, and right now they think it's Dominic because Dominic is the person that owned the studio, or used to rent that studio that Brian was found dead in, and that Laura does art in, so they think it's him. But Brian also starts with a D. I mean Daniel. Daniel also starts with a D, so he could be sus too. He hasn't really been doing anything though. He's kind of just at school, chilling, telling Ivy that like she's a murderer. My theory time. So, the coach is engaged to Laura, and we know that. And everyone says he's like a golden retriever person, and that like he used to bring like cookies to like the Christmas things, and he's a really good person. But sus, because Laura don't seem to be very faithful. I think that one of my theories is that he found out about the people that she was dating and tried to meet them. He gave the code to the place because they're engaged, so he probably knows about that location, knows the key, like the code to the door, and gave it to Brian, saying he was going to buy drugs from them, and then he killed them because jealousy, you know? Oh, I forgot to mention the weasel. So, Charlie also talks about how his brother came up with a theory that there's this person known as the Weasel. They're calling the Weasel, oops. They're calling this person the Weasel because they don't know who it is, but they think there's someone who either is running a drug thing or doesn't want any drugs around their city or town, and he's stopping anyone else from selling drugs at like any cost or whatever. So that's who we think the Weasel is. So right now they think that either Laura is the Weasel or she is selling her own. That's my current theory. I feel like that's too obvious right now. It's this like, I have to know who, like, I have to already know the person who did it. But like, who? First off, I would like to apologize for the music they're playing upstairs. I tried to tell them I was recording, and all they did was shut the door. Moving on. So, what just happened? Okay, so there's someone I keep forgetting. I wrote the note down, and then I forgot about the note, and I kept forgetting to mention it. But, Gabe, who is Autumn's boyfriend, people think he's pretty sketchy, so he's been pretty sus. But because like they barely mention him, I keep forgetting to say that. I still think her brother's pretty sus. Oops. Like, he seems like a good guy, and everything he's done so far, like he hasn't done anything necessarily bad. He's done a couple bad things, but like not like criminally bad. But he's just sus. So they see him at the school because they decide to go to the school to they want to compare, because they find out who Dominic is. They find out his name, last Dominic Payne, and he's an artist, and that he did an art piece for Laura, and it's at her at the art class in the school. So they decide to go there to compare the handwriting on the note signed D to his signature on the thing. And when they get there, it does not match. So it's not him. Well, they're assuming that, but like I feel like signatures like kind of look different than normal handwriting. So still could be him, but they don't think it's him anymore because it doesn't match. Both Cal and Ivy are at the school and they find this out, and Daniel kind of finds them there, and they overhear him talking to the coach, and the coach seems like a chilled person, but then he picks up Daniel's bag and it's extremely heavy, which they say is filled with like lacrosse balls, but like, I don't know what it is about him, but I still find him pretty sus. And then Mateo goes home and his place is also destroyed, so someone's obviously looking for the drugs. Stay on the wall. But he ends up getting into Brian's phone. He finds out the password is Brian. Yeah, but he gets into his phone and he sees the email that sent him the code to the door, and he calls it, and it's a familiar voice that picks up the phone, and he drops the phone. So it's someone he knows. So currently suspicions for a drug dealer dude is Gabe. It could be his father, because his father also just messaged him saying he's moving back on October 1st. Gabe seems kind of sus. He's not in high school, so it didn't matter because there was 12 people away from school that day, but the only 3 that were seniors were 3 main characters. So even though I think Daniel's sus, I feel like he has something to do with something, but not exactly with the murder. That's actually one of my theories. I think that Daniel might be the weasel. I think he might be the one trying to stop drug trade. I don't think he has his own drugs thing, but I think he might be trying to stop the drug thing. Mateo just like said something about all the pieces being put together, so I think he already solved it. So I'm gonna go with my 2 final theories right now, in case he did solve it. But in case not, I'll keep updating if there's new information. But my 2 final theories so far, if Mateo has figured out who killed him, is it was Gabe, and the reason is, I don't know, money? I don't really know. That's the thing, I don't see a motive for Gabe. Or maybe he was had some relationships with the teacher too, and that's why? I don't know. I feel like they're trying to point it at him, but I don't see his motive. I kind of just agree with my theory from earlier that the coach has got something to do with it. But then he didn't seem, and he was at school that day. But maybe we don't know if he was there in the morning. We know he was there after school. Honestly, the 2 people I think that could be the weasel are Stefan or Daniel. And then murderer, Gabe, or coach. Okay, so quick update. I feel like I'm getting into the reveal part, so I'm kind of nervous because I don't think I have that good of an idea. Because, oh, right, Cal just found a whole bunch of the drugs in Laura's desk drawer at school. So she's either buying drugs, selling drugs, or stealing drugs. One of those 3. Coach is the only guy that seems to have more of a connection with everyone. Okay, so one major reveal has happened, and I was wrong. Great job. I thought Gabe was being sus about stuff, but now I know why. He is the weasel. I thought I was going to at least get something. Maybe I'll get the killer. No, but Gabe's the weasel, so that has been confirmed. He was the person that picked up. I thought that because he picked up because he was the big buyer, he was going to be the killer. And I guess he still could be, but because now this doesn't. If he's not the killer, then the big buyer that called isn't the person that killed him, even though that's why he went there. I thought I heard the cops. I thought they heard the cops before they even got into the building, really. So what probably happened is Gabe didn't even show up. He just gave him the location and place, and then called the cops, and then left. Wait, what was I saying? People are distracting me. I forgot what I was saying. Daniel's looking more sus now because there's less options, and the coach is still looking sus. Whoa, Gabe and Laura might be working together and they're both the weasel. And that's how they've been using that place to get rid of the drugs on the street. And then Coach finds out and thinks they're together. So then he decides to kill him. Because maybe Laura wasn't even at the pottery class. Because she is blonde and she does have long hair. So the coach could have called it on her out of jealousy. New theory. Okay. Some new information. Laura doesn't know anything about the drugs. They're not hers, and the list we found with circled names in her planner also isn't hers. And she's trying to leave town. I think she's being framed, or she's like acting as if she's being framed, and she was happy that Ivy's getting attention so that she can sneak away, because she's never coming back when she leaves. That's kind of scary, because she just told Cal that the answers are right in front of his face. I still think the coach is sus. You seemed really nice, but now I'm thinking that either, no, because see, she's got it now. How is the answer right in her face? I don't see an answer right in my face. I don't. Do you guys see an answer in your face? I don't see one. I see lots of sticky notes everywhere. Oh. It is over. I have finished the book. And I was right. I knew it. I'm pretty sure I said, like, at the very beginning that he was sus. The second someone said he was a golden retriever person, I was like, he's sus. Guess what? He was sus. So I was pretty much right, because like until like they started bringing up Gabe more, I thought it was him. I swear, I was right. Okay, yep, we're good. We understand that. Cool. But I was wrong about the reason. So I thought it was because of jealousy, but it's actually because he runs a whole drug company thing. Like he's a big drug dealer. So yeah, he was just mad that Brian was selling drugs. So he killed him. And he tried to frame Laura for it because she was like sleeping around with other people. And yeah, so I was right. That's it. And then there's a big whole fight because you know that's how the end of books work, and everyone's okay. And then there's one last twist at the end. We find out who Dee was. And I should have seen it coming, but I kind of like, the hard part, there's so many small things that you kind of just ignore some of them, and then you realize they were important later. So way back at the very beginning of the book, when we first find out about Laura, Mateo says that he didn't take any of her classes because his father started hitting on her one time when they saw her at a grocery store. And at the end, we find out that his father's name is, I think it's Darren, I can't remember now. But it starts with D, so he's Darren, and he's now engaged to Laura. I think that I won. I think I solved it because I knew who did it, I just didn't know how. So I think that counts. So yeah, thank you for joining me in trying to solve this mystery. I think I did a good job, hopefully, kind of, not really. My board is not as good as I wanted it to be, but you know what? Maybe I shall do this again, and then I will have a better murder board prepared. Yes, so thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, and then I might do this again. And yeah, that's it. Ooh, I also really like the book. It's a really good book. It had a good ending, and there might be a sequel. I don't know, on Goodreads it doesn't say there's going to be, and normally it does, but like they like kind of made a sus reference to it maybe having a sequel, so you know, there could be one. There could be one. But we won't know that yet. Ooh. I should not break things. That's the wall. That's the wall. She resents her brother because he's good at everything. Emily! What? What I know so far, how I've read, and then at some point I will do the lines. So, everyone's interrupting me, and I keep losing my train of thought.
I'm fine.
What is it? Cheetos? Cheetos.
Oh my god, what the hell's happening down here?
My murder board. Cheeto.
You made this or something?
It's my murder board.
Oh.
Can I draw on the wall and stick holes in the wall? It made my life a lot easier.
What?
Well, because I have to use tape and it's annoying. I hold everything up.
Just use double-sided tape.
We don't have double-sided tape.
No, you can't draw on the wall.
Oh, you can just paint over it. Oh, you're gonna be so distracted. I'm not gonna eat food now.
Come on, Doc.
But I don't know. I just don't. Mother scared me.
Sorry.
You're like in the dark. I'm talking about murder, and then a dark figure with a huge thing comes out. Like, what? I'm not scary. It's dark.
Scary laundry.
Scary laundry. Boomer!
You think that would be nice over there?
Where? Yeah. For sure they know. Well, actually we don't know if Gabe knows. I'm just making that up at this point. I don't know. I want to know who did it. I want to be able to figure it out, but there's so much I still don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. Missing piece of the puzzle. There had to be, that's why I'm going with the king, because the jealousy just makes, it's just the best reason. Whereas money just doesn't seem like a good enough reason to, because now they're going to be caught probably by the end of this. Well, at least hopefully they will. It's going to end and it's going to be like, they don't know who did it. I'm going to be like, great.